81333. Start your messages with BBC. So what is it that you might think you might try and change in some way? We can chat now to Helen Meech. She's head of strategy at the New Citizenship Project. Now, that is an organisation which tries to get us all thinking of ourselves as citizens to help tackle some of the world's biggest problems. That's such an interesting idea, Helen. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Just away from the climate crisis for a minute, Helen, do you think we've lost that? Have we lost that sense of feeling like we're citizens of this planet, we're in control, and we might be able to do something?
I think the biggest story that we've been told by the media, by business, by governments even over the last 30, 40 years is that the only role that we have in society is buying more stuff. Yeah. But that is not true. And so the work that we do as an organisation is about helping make that shift and we believe that people want to change the world we live in for the better. And so all of our work is about working to give people the opportunity to do that, to be active participants in society in a range of different ways.
Because it's very easy, Helen, to think, oh, well, I'm just this teeny, tiny little cog in a massive wheel, and how can I possibly change things just by deciding to, buy charity clothes for a year, or how can I change things? So are you trying to educate people that actually, if everybody did it, there would be a change?
I think it's about giving people a sense of agency.
Yeah.
I love that you were talking about hope just now, and I think there's a role in giving people a true sense of hope. And lots of people are really kind of overly optimistic, like everything's going to be fine, it's all going to be fine. A bit like that Muppets clip. But then others are like, oh, we're all doomed. But actually, true hope comes in the middle, kind of being only looking to the fact, there is a problem, we are in crisis, but there is still something we can do about it. Scientists say we've got 10 years to take action on climate, and there's a lot that we can do. I don't think it's right for that to be put all down to individuals, but also I do think that individual action has a role to play. There's a lovely quote by a chap called Rob Hopkins who says, if we leave it just to individuals, it will be too late. If we leave it just to government, it will be too late. And what Attenborough is telling us is that governments are not acting fast enough at all. But he says if we come together as a community, then we might just have time. And I think that's what the focus on climate needs to be is how might we come together as planet Earth, essentially, but it could be through your village, through your town, through your city. How might we come together as a city of Newcastle to be carbon neutral, and to everyone share their ideas? And just by asking people for ideas about what can they do, it opens up action. If you just the action of asking someone what can you do is likely to make them start to change their behaviour, and I don't think that's happening enough.
There is a perception, rightly or wrongly, and we've discussed it on the show before on BBC Newcastle, that worrying about climate change it's a very middle class thing. It's something that you do if you've got enough money. You're not worrying about where the next meal's from or whether or not you've got any hours on your 0 hours contract. There is that concern. How do you get away from that, and how do you discuss that?
I think the truth is, and the science is now absolutely clear, that climate is going to affect all of us, and it's going to affect those on lowest incomes hardest and fastest. We already saw the effects really close to home. The terrible flooding in Yorkshire just before Christmas. The news is full of people in Australia losing their homes to bushfires, which are being shown as a direct consequence of climate change. So we can't. This can't just be a middle class issue. It's going to affect everybody, and everybody needs to take action. And I feel there's a really important need for people to rise up and say, we will change, but we need government to make it easier for us to be able to make those changes. It's easier for people middle classes, for example, to go and buy an electric car, but it needs to. Yeah, they are. It needs to be a mixture of both individuals willing to change their behaviour and then government action to make it easier for them to do so.
Helen, thanks ever so much for talking to us. Really interesting stuff. Helen Meech there, who is Head of Strategy at the New Citizenship Project. So if you want to have a look for that and find out what they do there, that's quite interesting. In fact, very interesting. Alf's out and about for us this morning on BBC Newcastle Radio for the North East.